Welcome back to Stamps Old World UK, your home for discovering the hidden treasures of philately from around the globe. In today's episode, we'll explore one of the most fascinating and collectible pieces of early American postal history, the 3-cent George Washington stamp. This beautiful stamp, with its rich reddish-brown color and intricate engraved design, is not just a small piece of paper, but a true symbol of America's early postal heritage. The 3-cent Washington stamp was first issued in the mid-1800s, during a time when postage stamps were still a new and revolutionary idea. It features the classic profile of George Washington, the first president of the United States, a figure of great respect and recognition. This portrait was based on the sculpted bust by Jean-Antoine Houdon and became one of the most widely used designs in U.S. postage history. The 3-cent denomination was chosen because it matched the standard letter rate at that time, making this stamp one of the most frequently used in the country. Collectors prize this stamp for its age, color, and variations. Over the years, several different printings, shades, and paper types were produced, each contributing to the stamp's uniqueness. Some versions were printed in rose, dull red, or brownish red hues. The perforations and paper quality also changed over time, which means even small differences can have a big impact on the value of a single stamp. Now let's talk about the part every collector is eager to know, the market value today. The 3-cent George Washington stamp's value can vary widely depending on condition, color variety, and whether it's a rare printing. A common version of this stamp, used and in average condition, usually sells between $9,000 and $25,000 on the collector's market. However, if the stamp is in excellent condition with clear margins, strong color, and no damage, it can reach between $50,000 and $200,000. For rarer varieties or mint condition examples, especially those with unique color shades, printing errors, or historical cancellations, prices can soar much higher. Some certified unused examples and perfectly centered examples have been sold at auctions for as much as $50,000 to $100,000 or more. Stamps with rare color variations like the rose pink or orange brown types are even more valuable. It's important to remember that the philatelic market values can fluctuate based on collector demand and the general economy. High-quality stamps with historical importance tend to retain or even increase in value over time. If you believe you have a 3-cent George Washington stamp, it's always a great idea to have it professionally appraised or graded by an expert. This 3-cent Washington stamp is more than just an old postage piece. It's a connection to America's past, a story of communication, design, and history captured in one tiny masterpiece. Whether you're a beginner collector or a lifelong philatelist, this stamp represents the golden era of classic American stamp design.
Next up, the 8-cent Eisenhower stamp, a simple yet powerful piece of American history that honors one of the nation's most respected leaders, President Dwight D. Eisenhower. The 8-cent Eisenhower stamp was first issued in the early 1970s by the United States Postal Service as part of the Prominent Americans series. This collection featured notable figures from U.S. history, including presidents, inventors, and artists. Eisenhower, the 34th President of the United States, was chosen for his distinguished military career as a 5-star general during World War II and his 2 terms in office from 1953 to 1961. The portrait on the stamp captures his calm confidence and leadership, reflecting both his presidential dignity and his role as a unifying figure during a challenging time in American history. This stamp was printed in a deep purple or magenta hue, featuring bold typography with the inscription Eisenhower, USA, and the denomination of 8 cents. It was primarily used for standard letter postage rates of the time, and millions were printed for everyday use, which makes it a common stamp in circulation today. However, condition, centering, and variations can still make a big difference in market value. Let's talk about the current value of the 8-cent Eisenhower stamp. Because it was printed in large quantities, most used versions have a modest collector value. A postmarked example in average condition typically sells for about $2,500 to $6,000 on the collector's market. However, mint condition stamps, those never used and with full original gum, generally range from $2,000 to $5,000 each. If you have a perfectly centered, well-preserved example with sharp color and no fading, its value can rise to around $10,000 or more, especially if it's part of a full sheet or a first-day cover. There are also a few rare print variations and errors, such as color misprints or double impressions, that have sold for between $5,000 and $20,000 depending on rarity and certification. For dedicated collectors, this stamp holds value beyond money. It represents a piece of the mid-20th century American story, a time of rebuilding, innovation, and leadership on the world stage. Eisenhower's legacy as both a wartime general and a peace-focused president makes this stamp a meaningful addition to any U.S. or presidential collection. Even though it's not among the most expensive U.S. stamps, the 8-cent Eisenhower remains a beautiful and historical collectible. It's an ideal piece for beginners who want to start exploring American philately without spending a fortune, and for experienced collectors who appreciate the design and significance of post-war U.S. issues.
Next up, the 3-cent General George S. Patton stamp. This powerful piece of history honors not just a man, but an entire generation of heroes who fought for freedom during World War II. The 3-cent George S. Patton stamp was issued by the United States Post Office in 1953, just a few years after World War II ended. It was created to pay tribute to General Patton and the armored forces of the U.S. Army. The stamp's striking purple color and detailed engraving make it a standout among mid-20th century U.S. issues. At its center is a portrait of General Patton in his military uniform, with tanks advancing in the background, a perfect symbol of the strength, leadership, and determination that defined his legacy. General George S. Patton was one of the most dynamic and controversial American generals of the 20th century. Known for his bold strategies, fearless personality, and unrelenting pursuit of victory, Patton played a key role in the Allied success in Europe. This stamp was more than just a memorial. It was a national tribute to his service and a recognition of the armored divisions that helped win the war. Now, let's talk about the market value of this historical stamp today. Because it was a commemorative issue and not printed in extremely limited numbers, it remains relatively accessible to collectors. A used version of the 3-cent Patton stamp with a light postmark typically sells for around $5,000 to $20,000 depending on condition. However, a mint condition stamp, one that has never been used and retains its original gum, is more desirable and generally valued between $3,000 and $10,000. Collectors also look for special varieties, such as first-day covers or error prints, which can raise the value significantly. A first-day cover featuring the official 1953 cancellation can sell for $10,000 to $25,000, and rare printing or perforation errors have been known to fetch $50,000 or more. If you own a sheet of these stamps in mint condition, it could be worth between $30,000 and $75,000, depending on centering and preservation. What makes this stamp truly special isn't just its value in dollars, but its historical significance. It captures a pivotal moment in American history, the celebration of courage, leadership, and sacrifice. For collectors of military history or U.S. commemorative stamps, the 3-cent George S. Patton issue remains an essential piece of mid-century philately. So, whether you're an experienced collector or just beginning your journey into the world of stamps, this one deserves a place in your collection. It's a stamp that reminds us of the cost of freedom and the heroes who fought to preserve it.
If you enjoyed learning about the General Patton 3-cent stamp and its value in today's market, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Stamps Old World UK, and tap the bell icon for more fascinating stamp stories from around the world. Thank you for watching. And remember, every stamp tells a story, and every story keeps history alive.